Father, give us ears to hear. Jesus, I hope it is our desire to be as much like you as is humanly possible. We desire not just to follow you, but to be like you. So Jesus, as we talk about this morning, I pray that everybody in here is ministered to you by your word in some way, and that as a result, lives are changed. And we pray this in your name, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
We are going through a series of the teachings of Jesus. One of the teachings that Jesus gave here is in John. In John 8:12, Jesus said this. Okay, I want you to read this. When Jesus spoke again to the people, he said, I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. Jesus said, he is the light of the world. You ever been in a room where it's completely dark and you have no idea where you're going? And then a light comes on, even if it's just a small light, and you get to see what's ahead of you. What a relief that is. Well, Jesus is the light to this world. And it's really been hit me this morning, even more this week more than ever, about what this means. But think of it before you became a Christian, what you believed. And think of what a lot of the world out there believes. They have no light ahead of them at all. They have no idea what the future holds for them after this life. Some of them believe in crazy things like reincarnation, although they have nothing to base it off of. That they started out as a plant, and then they became an animal, and now they're a human, and then next time they might be an angel, and then after that they might be a god, but they have nothing to base it off. They're just kind of like grasping for something. There's a lot of people that are in hospices right now dying with absolutely no hope ahead of them, no light. No light ahead of them. There's absolutely nothing to look forward to but death itself. And then a lot of people, Christians included unfortunately, strive for happiness, for that light, through other things. Through a lot of other things. Strive for it, thinking if I, the saying, the man with the most toys at the end wins. You've seen the bumper stickers? It's like, well, we all know that that's not true. But there's people out there, vast majority of people in this world, that's what their light is. Their light is more material things. That's what's going to give them happiness and power, and then what? And then what after that? Some people strive for it through alcohol and drugs. Some strive for it through sex. They don't have the light that we have. They just don't have it. Now, Jesus makes a statement, an unbelievable statement here in Matthew, that I want you to see now, because Jesus said he was the light to the world. When he walked this world, he was the light. Now Jesus tells us this in Matthew. What? Go ahead and put it up. This is what Jesus said. When Jesus spoke again, by 14, it says, you are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Is there more to it? In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. Now, listen to this. Jesus was walking the earth and he says, I am the light to this world. I'm the light. I'm the one that gives you hope. Look at me. Now, Jesus left, and what does Jesus say? Who's the light now? You. You're the light. Adrian, you're the light. David, you're the light. Mike, you're the light. Tracy, you're the light. Tisha, you're the light. You are now the light to the world. Jesus is not here anymore. When Jesus walked the earth, he says, I am the light. I am the light. Look at me, is what he was saying. Now he turns around and tells us, now you are the light to the world. You're the light to the world. What does that mean? Because he's counting on you. I'll just share a story that happened this week. I have a younger brother. And he has a wife that had diabetes when she was young. So her kidneys have failed her, and she's been doing dialysis, and he does it at home every single day. It takes about 6 to 8 hours every night for dialysis that he does. And then they were going to do a kidney transplant, and he was going to give one of his kidneys, but her heart wasn't strong enough, because with diabetes, your heart weakens. So they've had her on heart medicine, and there's so many side effects to it. And then they had to put a defibrillator in her because her heart fails, and then remotely they have to get it going again, so that it starts. And lately it's been going on and off, like sometimes as much as 20 times a day. So she's made a decision. They have made a decision that they're going to go off the defibrillator, and they're going to go off the medicine tomorrow. And she knows that she will die. And she has such peace of mind. My wife and I called her yesterday. Oh, it was so hard for me to make that phone call. It was like, what am I going to say? And she made it so easy. And my brother made it so easy. Because she knows that light, and now she is a light. They just celebrated their wedding anniversary, and they had all the family there, they had their church there, and they had their Gamble Anonymous friends there, because he's a recovered alcoholic and now a recovered gambleaholic. And that whole team was there because him and his wife have dedicated themselves to Gamble Anonymous. And they've headed it now for like, I don't know, like 15 years. So all those people were there. She was a light. She was a light to them. Because she's looking around with a little smile on her face, as weak as she could be, with a smile and total peace. And when we talked to her yesterday, it's kind of like, I'm at peace. I know that I'm going to be with Jesus soon. Ronnie's okay, because Ronnie knows that it's just for a time, because soon he'll be back with her again. And they have peace. They're a light. Do you have to stop to think what you might be like when that day comes? We're going to be kicking and screaming, and woe is me, I can't believe this is happening to me. Or would we be a light? Are you a light right now? Are you a light right now? Let me just share another story with you. I went to New York with my son and his family, my wife and I. And they had a young couple with them that were in their late 30s. And they're a fun couple. And when I was talking to them, they were saying that, yeah, we're Christians. We go to church. We're Christians. It was like, oh, cool. So we're walking around in New York. And I always noticed that Larry's always back behind us all the time, never walking with us. And I never thought nothing of it. And all of a sudden, one time he comes up to me and he says, hey, Jim, did you see that girl up there? And I said, what? I said, you didn't see her? And I said, no. He said, hey, when you see one, you let me know, and then when I see one, I'll let you know. And I said to him, I said, well, Larry, wouldn't that be lusting? And he goes, oh. I said, yeah, all I know, you take a second look, that's all I know. It's okay, look the first time, the second time it's lusting. After that, he started walking with us instead of behind us, because he was held accountable. That's light. That's light. Now, I could just as easily have said, oh, I missed that one. Let's go back. Let's go back. Honey, I'm good. There's a store. We want to look at some hats over here. We'll be right back. Would I be a light then? No. No. All I had to say is, well, you see, I must be. And it convicted him. That's what light does. That's what light does. Light shines in and convicts someone that has the Spirit. And someone that doesn't have the Spirit, then they look at you and say, whoa, something different about that person. You ever been at a party? Had a little bit to drink? And then they come up and say, hey, let's have a shot. Let's have a couple shots. Yeah, let's go for it. Let's go for it. Is that what kind of light are you? What kind of a light are you? What if you say, no, either I don't drink or I've had enough, I'm not going to have any more. No, it does two things. With the Christian that's in there, they're convicted. Kind of, oh, you shouldn't. And someone that's not a Christian looks at you and says, wow, they're having just as much fun as I am, and they're not drinking. What Jesus is telling us now is, you are now the light to this world. That's why it is so important for the last two messages we give that we are overcoming those demons that are in our life. Because if you have a problem with addiction, with alcohol, with drugs, with gambling, with sex, and you're still doing it, then you've lost your light. You've lost your light. You're not a light. You're not a light. You're not a light to the people in your family. You're not a light to your extended family. You're not a light to your friends. You're not a light to your co-workers. And you are definitely not a light to the world. And if you call yourself a Christian and they see that, then the world just goes, I don't see any difference between Christians and us. I don't see any difference. Act the same as we do. So I guess what I'm telling you is this, it's not just for you. You don't overcome those demons just for you. You overcome those demons for your children. It is so important. What are your children seeing in your home? Do you pray with your children? I know the answer is no, because I asked the youth group. Jada said yes. And it was interesting. Nick admitted to me that there's a lot of times where they start eating, Nick starts eating, and Jada's kind of like, well, wait a minute, Dad, aren't we going to pray? Jada's the light. Now, I know that Nick and Christine are lights in their family. I know that. But there's times when Jada becomes the light. Look at the front row right here. Go to a concert, where do you sit? In the back? Sit in the back. There's more action in the back. Let's sit in the middle so we can't see over the people in front of us. You're up front. You're up front. And when the band is playing, you're not sitting in the seat going, if you'd have gone to a Dodger game last night, you'd have been crying for one thing. But you would have wanted to have a seat where you would have saw that slide into home plate to see, was he safe or not? You would have wanted to see that. They're a light. They're a light to us in here. And even this, if I were not a Christian and someone dragged me in here, and I was sitting in the back row, because that's where you sit when you get dragged in, and you look up front, you see young people, first thing you go is ask them, why are they sitting up front? Do they actually like this? We have to be a light. And to be that light, we have to overcome the demons in our life. Now, I know this without a doubt. We failed this week. Many of us failed this week. No doubt in my mind. Does that just mean, well, I so quit now, I didn't make it? No. What do? You get back up again. You're a Christian, you're a light. You're a light to this world. You get back up again and you say, let's start over. Let's start over. It's a new week. Let's go again this week. And then when you fail, then next week, let's start over again. And I know this. You need help. You need help. Here's a mistake that sometimes we make. I prayed about it. I prayed about it. I prayed to Jesus about my problems. It's taken care of. It's taken care of. Me and Jesus, we're tight. We're tight. It's taken care of. I'm sure a lot of you heard this story, but let me share it with you again. There was this man who was in a house, and it started raining, and the flood started. Pretty soon he realized I have to go to the second floor. First floor's flooded. Gets up to the second floor, and the rain just keeps on coming, and it floods up, and pretty soon he's on the roof. And it's still raining hard. And a man comes by in a raft and says, whoa, you better get off that roof. Come on, you can get on the raft with me. Hey, thanks, but no problem. I've already talked to Jesus about it. He's going to take care of me. The guy's like, okay. And then a boat comes by. This speedboat. Say, hey, come on, get off the roof, get in here, you're going to drown. No, I've talked to Jesus, it's all taken care of. Okay, helicopter comes, drops a rope. Grab the rope! No, I've talked to Jesus, taken care of. Okay. And then he drowns. And he gets to heaven. And he tells Jesus, I am really disappointed in you. Jesus, why? He said, I prayed, I put all my faith in you and you let me drown. And Jesus said, well, didn't you? I sent you a raft. I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. It's that same thing in life. It's that same thing in life. I have an addiction. I pray to Jesus about it. And Jesus is saying, I gave you AA. I gave you NA. I gave you Gamble Anonymous. It's like I talked to someone this week about AA, and they said there's probably as many AA meetings as there are liquor stores. That's probably true. There's one around every corner to go to. How about this? Judy Thomas with frailness. Anybody that's got a disease can pray to Jesus and say, I put all my faith in Jesus. I don't need to have an operation. And what would Jesus say when they died? I gave you the hospitals. I gave you the medicine. I gave you the doctors. Why didn't you use them? God gives us things to fight these demons. It's one of the things that he's given us, and we are not taking advantage of it. He's given us a life group. He's given us a life group. Now, I know that there's people in here that are hurting, and no one knows you're hurting. There may be somebody in here that cannot pay their rent. There may be somebody in here that's got some major health issues, and nobody knows it. If you're in a life group, that's what it's for. It's Christians living life together. No, there's another one. Marriage is just so darn important. And oh, is it tough. It's hard, isn't it? It's hard. For one thing, for whatever reasons, opposites attract one another. So when you get opposites together, one's trying to change the other one, and the other one's trying to change the other one, and they're trying to figure out why they're not. And then if they did get divorced, they just marry someone just like the one they just had. Because that's what you're attracted to. But it's hard. And you can sit there and pray and say, God, make my marriage better. And then what would Jesus say? Give me marriage counselors. Now, we just happen to have somebody in our church. That's their gift. That's his gift, counseling. He's not just effective at it. He absolutely loves it. When I brought it up to him, he was like a bull. Let's get started. How many can you handle? How many is there? 5. Yeah, I can handle all 5. Well, there might be 8. No, I handle all 8. It's just like a bull. And when it's your gift, that's what it's like. It's like me working with youth. I just love youth. I just love. Now, it's unnatural. 66-year-old. To be with young people. It's just a gift that God has given me. And then this man now has that gift with counseling, and he's willing to counsel anybody that wants to be. Mark even has a room in his house set aside for counseling. Now, I have a room in my house too. But if I were to tell my wife I'm going to start marriage counseling, you know what? You're kidding, right? That's one of my demons I'm working on. All right? So Mark is willing to do that. He's willing to work with anybody that has some marriage issues. Now, why would you want to do that? Here's why. because your demon is tearing your marriage apart. Is it just affecting you? Is it just affecting your spouse? You don't think it's not affecting your children? You don't think that your neighbors don't see it? You don't think that your family doesn't see it? How much of a light are you to the world? When that person across the street that doesn't know Jesus, heard you go to church on Sundays, and then sees you out in the front cursing at one another. So, whoa, I want to be like that. I go to that church. That's the kind of church I want to go to. We're not a light. We're not a light. And Jesus said, you're the light. Guess what, people? There is no plan B. There's no plan B. It's the only plan that Jesus has. Is that one. At Artesia High School, or wherever else that you guys go to, Jesus is counting, in La Mirada, Jesus is counting on them. In Los Alamitos, Jesus is counting on Sammy. There's no plan B. There's no plan B. In Cerritos, in the little neighborhood over by Liberty Park, they're counting on, Jesus is counting on Mike and Debbie. He's counting on Mike and Debbie. He's saying, you're my light. You're my light. Let it shine. Let it shine so the people around can see it. So the people around can see that light and realize you have something they don't have. Jesus said he was the light of the world. Now you're the light of the world. This is what you're to strive for. This is what you're to strive for. I want you to look at James chapter 5, verse 19 and 20. My brothers, if one of you should wander from the truth, then someone should bring him back. Remember this, whoever turns a sinner from the error of his way will save him from death and cover him a multitude of sins. I'll tell you what that means. You're having marriage problems, and it's affecting your kids, and it's affecting everybody else around you, and you go to counseling, and there's some help that's done for you, then what Jesus is saying is, now Mark is covering a multitude of sins as he helps you to get your marriage back together again. If you have a drinking problem, if you have a drug problem, and you go to AA, then AA is covering a multitude of sins. Let me just share one with you. Someone that I know, and it's a drinking problem. He's had it for years. Thought he could just fight it on his own. He'd fight that demon on his own. I beat that demon. He had a few car accidents as a result of drinking. And then just recently, he totaled out his vehicle as a result of drinking. And now he's arrested and he's in jail. Been in jail for over a month now, and his 4 children are not being fed now. Because he's in jail with no income coming in. Because he thought he could fight that demon on his own. He didn't. He didn't. And now it's affecting his family. And now it's affecting his wife. His wife just says, I want out. I want out. I don't want to deal with this no more. And Dave Stone and I met with her to try and convince her to maybe fight for it. Maybe fight for that marriage. Because I know that if I can save that marriage, I'll cover a multitude of sins. If I could have got him to go to AA, maybe this wouldn't have happened. There's some people in here that are admitting to me that they have a problem with drinking. And they've admitted that to me. I need some people in here that go to AA that can hold those people accountable to say, let me take you with me to a meeting. Let me take you with you and cover a multitude of sins. Need you. Collision needs you. I could take that person to AA, but I don't relate to that. I don't relate to it. Like do I relate to people that have some marriage issues? Uh-huh. Do I relate to a mom that has a strong-willed child? Uh-huh. There's certain things I can relate to, and there's some that I can't relate to. But Jesus made a promise that he would give his church everything they need, that church needs. I will give every gift that that church needs. They're there. They're there. So if you go to AA meetings, would you please see me afterwards? Because I want to hook you up with some people to get you a meeting. If you've got marriage problems, you can come to me or you can go straight to Mark. I challenge you. It's his gift. He is so excited about that. And he says that, and I'll take his word for it, that he's effective at it. That he's done it before. He's got a history of doing that, and he's effective at it. I was going to do it. My whole plan was I was going to do it until Jesus showed me, well, whoa, wait a minute, Jim. I gave you somebody that actually knows what they're doing. So if you've got marriage problems, don't fight those demons on your own. Take the help that Jesus has given you. Don't be that guy on the roof that says, it's me and Jesus. I'm covered, and then drown. He's given you what you need. This should be the goal of every one of us. 1 Corinthians 11:1. This should be the goal of everyone. Follow my example as I follow the example of Christ. Wouldn't that be great? Wouldn't that be great if I could go up to Hannah and say, Hannah, follow me. Follow me. I'm following Jesus. Don't be afraid to follow me. Don't be afraid to follow me. Like I tell Matthew, follow me. Follow my example. Follow my example. That's why I would, I don't mow my lawn, but if I did, I wouldn't be out there mowing the lawn with a beer in my hand. Even though I have the right to drink a beer. I'm over 18. I'm over 21. Just barely, but I'm over 21. And I don't have a drinking problem. But if young people saw me out there, they don't know that. And then they look down and see 3 more empty cans that I took from my neighbor's yard, but they see them down there and go, oh my gosh. Maybe Jim has a drinking problem. What kind of light am I? What kind of light am I? You have to be able to do this. Fight your demons so that you can tell your children, follow me as I follow Jesus. Follow me. So you can tell your brothers and your sisters, follow me. So you can tell your life group and your life group, follow me as I follow Jesus. Let's look at 1 Timothy. Don't let anyone look down on you because you are young, but set an example for the believers in speech, in life, in love, in faith, and in purity. This is what Paul was telling Timothy, a young pastor. That's what God would be telling me. Jim, set an example. That's what he'd be telling Mark right now. That's what he'd be telling anybody else in here that's in a leadership role. Set an example for the believers, for your church. Set an example in speech. You're never going to hear the F word come out of my mouth. I don't say it. I don't say it. Why? I don't want to be a stumbling block. I don't judge others that do. When Mark was up here and couldn't remember the words to his song, and I didn't go, oh my gosh. Right off my shoulder. But I want to set an example. And one day Mark will say the same thing. One day Mark will say the same thing. I want to set an example. In speech, in life, in love. That's the one I'm working on. In faith and in purity. And in purity. My wife knows. she would never have to worry about me cheating on her. Why? Because no other woman would want me. Because homie don't do that. Why? Why? Because I want to be an example. I want to be an example.
Come on.
How about the rest of you? What kind of example do you want to be? What kind of example are you? What kind of example are you? How much help do you need? The help you need, boy, we better give it to you. You know, so Dave and I have wrestled with this a lot. How come Christian isn't growing more? And I keep hearing it loud and clear from Jesus. When you take care of the ones I've given you, I'll give you some more. But until you've taken care of the ones you've got, I'm not going to give you any more. Because you said you want me to lead this church. Jesus said, you said that, Jim, so I'm leading this church, and I will give you more when you can take care of the ones you got. When you take care of the marriage problems that are in your church, when you take care of the addiction that's in your church, when you take care of all those other things, then I'll start bringing in some more. Because now you got some people that, when you get enough people going to AA, and someone new comes in here, like that young man that shared here a few months ago, remember that came up front here and shared about his addiction? What did we do about it? Thanks for sharing. When we get our act together, then somebody that does have addiction would go up to that young man afterwards and say, "Do you go to AA in there?" "No." "Let me take you. Let me take you. Give me your phone number. Give me your phone number." Now Jesus will give us the next one. And then the next one. But until we do that, He's not going to give us any more couples with marriage problems. We haven't taken care of the ones we got. But we can, because Jesus has given us somebody now. Are you going to take advantage of it? Now, I just want to warn you about one thing in closing. When you start doing this, when you start taking this serious, you're going to get attacked. It's like, I've seen people that get baptized, or they give a testimony, and then immediately they're slammed. I remember the church I was at before, there was a couple there that got baptized, and they were in my life group, and it was like a miracle that they were giving their life to the Lord, and they were getting baptized, and they got baptized, and then we never saw them again at the church. Never came back. Why? Because the demon didn't want them to be a light to the world. He didn't want them to be a light, so he just took it away from them. When you get up and share a testimony, when you get up and share your faith, be ready. Be ready, you're going to get attacked. When you decide to go to marriage counseling, get ready. You think that demon's going to go, "Oh, lost that one, might as well go on the next one." What's that demon going to do? Whoa, wait a minute. You may have won this battle, but you haven't won the war. I'm after you now. I'm after you. In fact, I'm going to bring a few more buddies with me. I'm after you. It's a war. It's a war that we're fighting. But gosh, it's exciting. Life can be pretty darn dull. That's why most of us are not a light. You know why we're not a light? We stay in our house watching TV all day. What kind of a light are you when they never see you outside your house? Life is just kind of boring for most of us. I was like, go to work, eat, go to bed, holler at the kids. Go to work, eat, go to bed, holler at the kids. I'd rather be in the battles. I'd rather be in the battles. Like when I box Robert Gordon. I'd rather do that. That's action. That's action. Yeah, it's more fun doing it than, you know, think of it, even with sports. Thousands of people go to the baseball games. Maybe 1% of them actually play the game. What's more fun, watching the game or playing the game? Playing the game. What gets you in better shape, watching the game or playing the game? Playing the game. What gets you the chicks, watching the game or playing? Let's get into the action, folks. Let's get into the action. Will you? Will you? I challenged the youth on Wednesday. Don't sit in the back row. Don't sit in the back row. Come up front. Come up front where the action is. Let's do something. Let's do something. But let's start with ourselves first. Let's get ourselves together. Imagine, think of this. Think of this. Who relates best to the alcoholic? The recovering alcoholic. Now, when you ask that alcoholic, are you going to drink again? No, ain't never going to drink again. Is that what they say? You know what they say? One day at a time. One day at a time. When someone comes up to me and says, I think I've licked it. I think I've licked it. I don't think I'll be drinking. It's kind of like, ooh, that demon loves to hear that. That demon loves to hear that. The alcoholics know better. One day at a time. One day at a time. Who do you think relates best to the people that have marriage problems? Mark and Terry that have marriage problems. I'm just kidding. One day I might be really good at that when I get mine together. But I've only been working on it for 44 years, so it's like, I haven't been working on it that long.
One day at a time.
Yeah, one day at a time. Yes. One day at a time. Are you hearing what I'm saying, people? Let's do it. Let's get off our butts and do it. I mean, like I asked you the same question last week. Is the way you're doing it working now? The chances are you're saying no. Is it going to get any better? No. Not until you get help. Not until you get help. Does it take effort? Yep. Do you think you're going to get in shape just because you say, I'm going to get in shape? What do you think you have to do? It's really easy though, isn't it, Liz? It's hard. It's hard. I know, I've been doing it now for a year and a half. Do I like the results? Oh, heck yes. Heck yes. Am I going to stop? Heck no. Why? Because I'd love to be able to go to the park now and wear Josephine out where she gets tired before I do. That's an awesome feeling. That's an awesome feeling. And when I go to Hometown now, and I see the people at Hometown coming back with their plates, and I go, oh, I remember when I used to be like that. Now I come back with a salad, maybe a piece of chicken, because I've learned. I've learned. It's not easy though. It's not easy, but you don't get results just talking about it. You don't get results just hoping. And you don't get results praying, because prayers have to have arms and legs and wheels to them. That's because Jesus has given us the arms and the legs and wheels. So let's do it. Ask the prayer team to come up here. Let's do it. I didn't hear that, Danny. Remember what I said? You can be passive or you can be active. Right now during worship. You can be passive or you can be active. What do you think you're going to get the most out of it? Being passive or being active? Being active. You want to connect to Jesus? You want to, now let me just tell you. Good, it says God dwells among the praises of his people. God lives in people that praise him. God lives in that. But demons are at war against God and don't want that. They'd rather you stay in your seat. They'd rather you start thinking about all those other issues you got going on in your life right now. They'd rather you go outside now and mess around with your friends. They'd much rather that. But we're fighters. We're warriors. We belong to the army of Jesus. We like to fight. Yeah, we like to fight. So let's fight. Let's praise our Jesus through this verse.